Here's the show. That's it.
1, 2, 3. Harold and Brad, Windy City filmmakers. Harold and Brad, Windy City filmmakers. Harold and Brad. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another edition of Harold and Brad, Windy City filmmakers. Talk about indie filmmaking, acting, writing, directing, the whole 9 yards. What's going on, HD?
Hey, glad to be here.
No doubt. Right, man. So today we're going to talk a little bit about like life on the set, even stuff leading up to being on the set, and even the difference between how it may differ being like a indie filmmaker, like straight up you're doing everything by yourself, as opposed to having like a budget.
A budget with 30 people on set.
Oh my goodness.
Or more.
Right. So what's been your experiences, man? Like how do things start off? Like it usually starts off with an idea for a script, right? Or a written piece.
Yeah, it starts off with an idea, and the writer will come up with the treatment and then flush out a script. And it could be a short or a feature, depending on what kind of story the writer wants to tell and how long he wants the story, how quick he can tell the story, or what he wants to do with the story once he finishes it. So let's say he wrote a feature film, and now what is he going to do after he writes the film? He's going to sell it or attempt to get it made. And let's say he attempts to get, or she attempts to get it made. Now he has to find someone to help push the film, maybe a producer, an executive producer. Executive producer will go out and find the money. Other producers can come up with the food.
No doubt.
And other things that are important on set.
Right. And it's also about like, especially on the indie tip, as many favors, it's never about lowballing people. Let's put that out straight out. It's not about lowballing people. I always believe in paying somebody something. But it's also about calling in some favors if you can get some favors. Like we shot the first episode of Dazzling Cool Cat Jones, episode 1. And just a secret, we got the space at the factory for free because I was doing a show at the time. They said, hey, you could just, knock it out. I said, cool, because you're doing a show. That comes in handy big time. Right.
Yeah, being able to have a crew, a team, a set of people that are there for you because they know that you're there for them with their projects. And that's always best because, you talk about budget. I've been on sets where people shot with basically no money.
Yeah.
They just fed us, and with the promise of an IMDb credit.
Right. So
forth. And people paying you thousands for just acting in the film. So there are there's a zillion different variations of budgets and sets. And so we're just going to talk about the general overall idea of set life and the experience of filmmaking. And so let's say the filmmaker has written a feature. Now he has to go out and find these producers. And then after they've met, they've found the director. The writer may want to direct. Now it's time for casting. And there's the opportunity to get a casting director to go out and find the actors because maybe I don't know any actors.
Right.
I don't know any talented actors.
Oh my God, what happened here?
And then there's a ton of people that do know actors. They have their favorite actors that they work with all the time. So, and that's always great to have a team of actors that can produce the type of delivery and the performance that you're looking for every time. And so when you go out and you put out casting notices for actors to come in and you meet, like Brad, we had that casting audition. For Chase.
For Chase. Yes.
And we had people that we knew come into the room that we invited and people that we didn't know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the good thing about it, too, that people you knew, people we did not know, got some great connections with people who we did not know at the time. And also, it also varies. Like I remember Martin Scorsese, one of his first films, and he had his mother and father in the film. Right. His mother, I forgot what it was. They shot in their apartment. Because sometimes it's that too. And I want to backtrack, like we talk about having a nice crew. A crew could be like two people, like just one other person who you can depend upon, who you know is going to be there, show up on time, who you know is reliable. Even if you don't have a buku budget, I truly believe that you can always run your set very professionally in terms of being on time. Being organized is half the battle, so you're not wasting nobody's time. Like, I like the idea of going in, me personally, well beforehand, having stuff storyboarded. It's a blueprint that can change, organized in terms of time, organized in terms of how you're going to shoot things, organized in terms of how soon you can release people. And definitely paying, like I said, paying somebody something or even feeding people goes a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And storyboards are very, very important
Yes.
to me. Yeah. Because it's organization. So
Right.
it cuts out all of the monotony, some of the monotony. There's always going to be something going on. And sometimes that monotony can be magic,
Right.
for the film. But storyboards are very important because it's organized, and it'll give me a chance as the actor to look to see what the director plans to do on these lines.
Yes.
Oh, you're going to get a close-up of my eyes on these lines.
Right.
Okay, so now I can think about how I want to deliver those lines and surprise myself how it comes out, of course. But it gives me an idea, too, of what the director's shooting for.
Right.
Or this will be a wide shot, so I know I'll say these lines this way, or plan to deliver them like this and see what comes out, type of thing. So storyboard is very important. And so now we're in the casting room, and we pick the actors, and the actors, obviously, as an actor, I've seen many videos and how-tos and read things on what to do in the room, and seminars, how to audition. So the actors come into the room. It's always best to come in with your best face on, positive, and the actor should be the professional in the room, so that when you leave out after delivering your piece, and the director and producer, who's ever in the room, says thank you, you say thank you, and don't try to shake everybody's hand. Just smile and say thank you, and leave. And leave with the professional idea of yourself in the room. And so let's say the film is cast now. So we have the cast. And for the actors out there, I teach at Second City, and I was just talking about this a couple weeks ago in the class, because we were shooting this 12-page script, and one of the actors hadn't memorized the line. So I says, okay, hold the paper and just act like you're saying these words and talking like you're reading or something. Make it work. And she made it work, but, so I gave him a lecture on preparation.
Yeah.
The filmmaker and writers, before you came along as the actor, have been working on this project for maybe a year.
Yeah.
Months and months. And then they pick you because you're that person to come in and deliver. So the best thing that you can do is prepare.
Right.
Come in ready to go with that first day of set.
No doubt. Oh yeah. Oh no doubt. No, I truly believe, like, when it's go time, like when it's time to shoot, yeah, be ready. And I say this, like, on an acting tip, from my perspective, because sometimes, like, you're acting, you get an audition, you may get an audition, like, not to get off track, but it's kind of related. You may get an audition, for example, like the night before. It happened a couple of times where I got an audition for Chicago PD, whatever the case may be, the night before, right? And there's a big chunk of stuff. And so it's the basic idea, well, at least for me, getting off book, especially after doing a show, and the sides come in like at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and you go on to a theater, do a show, then you basically get home at 10 o'clock, you gotta get up, go to audition at 9 o'clock. The chances of being off book, just real quick, are very slim. So I always had a viewpoint that with the audition piece, especially when you have a nice chunk of dialogue, I like the idea of going in, being very familiar with the piece, even if it's not word for word, with the basic idea that I think the directors like to see, can you embody the character? Do you have the energy the character may have? And then when you book the part, get off book. You definitely be off book by the time you get ready to shoot. Be off book by the time you get ready to shoot, definitely. But yeah.
Yeah. And so backing up a little bit too about these production meetings that the writer and his crew will have. They're organizing. They've organized the storyboards. They've worked out a schedule, shooting schedule, line production, blah, 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 blah. And so everybody's ready to go that first day of shooting. You've had the table read, whereas the actors have gotten together with the director and they've gone through the script so he can hear the words if he hadn't heard them already from pre-table reads. And the actors had the meeting with the director. It could be a phone call, it could be a face-to-face individually, so you can flesh out with him who he expects this character to be. He's cast you because he wants you. So knowing that as the actor, all you have to do is have that meeting, find out what he wants, and give it to him. And give them to him as yourself. Because in the end, I'm Harold. I'm always going to be Harold.
No doubt.
No matter what the lines say,
right,
and what lip I'm supposed to have, or what smirk I'm supposed to have, or whatever's going on, it's always you.
It's coming through your character, coming through who you are.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. And so now you're on that first day of shooting, and lights are going up.
Action!
And they're about to call action. You have that quick rehearsal. I'm sure you've probably rehearsed with your acting scene partner prior to, or maybe you didn't,
right?
Because they're snot. You never know. You never know. So you're in front of the camera with the director, right, and they're having that rehearsal prior to action.
Yeah.
And so, you get a chance to work with that actor and look into their eyes and see what they're giving you so you can react and give what you're going to give.
No doubt.
And then wait till they give something. And maybe that other actor isn't giving you anything. You still have to react to that.
No doubt.
I've heard Ted Sarantos, one of my teachers, talks about this actor. And I talked about that in class a few weeks ago. Repeated it, but I don't remember the actor's name. In the 60s, maybe 50s or 60s, the guy was acting with this actress with no ability. And so in the scene, she gives him a line and he looks at her and pretty much pats her on the shoulder in the scene and gives her the pitiful response like, you're doing the best you can. You're doing the best you can, type of thing. So no matter what, react, because the camera's going to see everything. It's going to pick it up. And so knowing that, do something.
Yeah, you're always getting something. Right. And along those lines, it's like one thing I learned is being open to anything, because from theater to film, and even depending on the film, how big a project is, how small a project is, the definition of rehearsal is vastly different. Like rehearsal and theater, vastly different. So like there are times where you may be rehearsing something and like you're literally rehearsing and coming up right before the scene in the dressing room, you're in the chair, so on and so forth. They're throwing on makeup and they're going through the lines with the other actors, right? Which is cool, which gives you something to work with, but it's going to always be different based on what's going on. Like some people actually like to rehearse. Like back in the day, I heard like Alfred Hitchcock was big on having like an actual rehearsal, you know what I'm saying? Like a theater rehearsal type feel before the actors actually get to the set. But it's going to vary based on the production, based on the time. Like, usually apparently with a lot of TV shows, they may not have time to rehearse with, especially like the smaller parts, not that you're small, but you know what I'm saying? As they will with the main characters, whatever the case may be. So that's being open for anything in terms of like getting ready to do your thing on the set.
Mm-hmm. And on the set, when you're shooting, you'll be in different locations in the wintertime, in the summertime, indoors, outdoors, sweating. So you have to have in mind that the climate and the pressure of a room full of people, just uncomfortable situations can occur. So the best thing that I attempt to remember and remind my students is to keep a cool head and get along with people on the set and be easy. Just take it easy and follow directions. Because I've heard that that's what they teach the students in film school on the production side. Find people that you can get along with and that can follow directions. Because think about it. 5 years from now on the red carpet with this movie.
Yeah.
That director wants to still be happy with the people that he has around him.
Right,
with
no
his
doubt.
film,
Yeah.
that writer with his film. And if you were that ass on set, he still got to look at you. So, keep a cool head as best as can. And be sure to investigate these projects before you get involved, because there are some shoddy projects out here
Right.
that can take up your time. We're supposed to shoot for 1 month, but you end up shooting for a year on and off.
Yeah.
Depending on schedules, because the production was unorganized to start with.
Right.
That has happened to so many of us. So you get something in writing saying, okay, we're shooting from here to here in the contract. And beyond that, we're negotiating more money.
Yeah.
If anything outside the contract dates occur. So, investigate these projects before you get involved, because there are more shoddy projects than you know.
Right. And this has never happened to me, but I've heard it happen to some people. I would say probably as a general rule, any project that says, okay, we're doing this project, but you have to pay X amount of money to participate, I would say that's a no-go. There's probably something shady going on.
Yeah, pay to audition.
Yeah, pay to audition or pay to be in the film. I mean, I would say walk away from that, because there's like plenty of opportunities where you got to deal with that nonsense.
And really, they don't know what they're doing when they do that. I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it. And been invited to participate. I'm like, thank you. No. and so let's say there are many million things that'll happen on set. So keep your head. And then let's say production has wrapped. Then in the contract, there's some pickup dates, whereas they knew that they couldn't finish everything. So they attached a couple more dates. And so they take the film, look at the rough cuts, look at what they've shot, unedited, and say, oh, we should add this to tie this piece of the story together.
Right.
Or we need to reshoot this because the sun was shining bright and it blew out the character, the frame, the shot, or any number of things. So they have pickup dates. And so now the film is finished and it goes to the editor, the director and editor. And I talked to Brad about this a few minutes ago, but I've heard that when you write your film, consider giving it to some editor that you trust and know. Maybe they're on your team. Because when, let's say I write something, there's some things that I definitely want in the movie. I have to have that sunset. I have to have this shot when they hold hands.
Right.
And maybe those shots don't move the story forward. But I want the shot, but the shot's not moving the story forward. But I want the shot. That's why you give it away to an editor, because they'll tell the story. You can be in the editing room and you can have that debate with them in the editing room. That's what the editing room is for. And you get someone else to do it so that they can pull out the essential parts of the story.
Right. And I have a slightly different opinion, because I edit a lot of my own stuff, and really out of necessity. But I also think it's important. Trust your instincts. Trust, because I'm a big believer. Write it, direct it, and editing it, and still getting input from time to time from other people. But by the same talk, I think it's also important to trust your instincts in terms of telling your story, in terms of what you have in mind for it. And I think it's one of the type of things. The more you do it, it's gonna be a matter of what works best for you. But I think like the more you do it, the better you get at it, in terms of telling the story you want to tell. Now, having said that, as the budgets get bigger, I like editing. I don't consider myself like Thelma Schumacher by any stretch of imagination. Martin Scorsese's editor. But I like the editing process. But I might have somebody else help out with the editing, but still going in with the process of definitely being in the room. And like a quick example is like when we did Walk for the Walk back in the day. My friend, Fred Bridges, was my editor for the longest time. And I went in with the idea of storyboarding. Like storyboarding is very important when you shoot, and also in terms of the edit. It's like shooting a film before you shoot it. And then Fred threw out, the edit was pretty much exactly the same I had envisioned it. And Fred threw out some great ideas about this, that, whatever the case may be. So it's always about, which leads to another point, collaboration. Collaboration real quick on set with the actors And I'm thinking about we did this film, Harold and I, and my boy Andreas. We did a film called. And so there was one thing that I love. We were just working on shooting some things, and there was a part where you and Andreas came up with it near the end of the film, where you were reading the paper and then you cross your legs at the same time.
That was my idea.
Yeah, like that's a little thing, but that's the great stuff.
Yes,
that you look for. You know what I'm saying? Collaboration and things of that nature that take peace to another level. Because I'm a big believer that you have the character. And you may write a piece, you may hear the characters in your mind, and I think it's really important to embrace that, but also let it go. Because when a talented actor embodies the character, they're going to take it to another level. The musicality may be different. You have to embrace that. So I love the idea of somebody say, this is the character, and then they truly make it their own. You know what I'm saying? And it may go places that you didn't imagine in writing it, but still be within the confines of the story you're telling. That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Collaboration is good. But then you think about the big budget Hollywood films, there's always someone else editing the story. So and like I said, so it's different points, different views, and the whole idea is to write a good story and have it well told. Robert McKee said something like that, good story well told.
Right.
So in collaboration, you just make the best story possible.
Yeah, right. Now, one thing real quick, I was aware, well, no, I wasn't aware of until I started doing more film, is that there can be like a lot of downtime. You know what I'm saying? That, you may have like 3 pages. I'm just shooting 3 pages, depending on what's going on. 3 pages could take a while to shoot. Like even when we shooting stuff on our cell phone back in the day, it would take a while. Like it wasn't like, 2 pages. Okay, we do this like in 10 minutes. More times than not, it would take a while to actually shoot to get the different shot selections, so on and so forth. So that's one time, like being aware that may be like a lot of downtime. And downtime does not mean that they're not organized. It means that the nature of filmmaking means that it's if you're doing a film, you can't necessarily be on your way to a fire, right? You got to be there to do the film.
That's right. You can't have conflicts like I'm going to set up 2 projects on one day, because more times than not, that first project is going to run over. So you can't go to have a fire waiting for you while you're on set.
I'll say this real quick, man. I was doing like a short film. And so they were like, yeah, we're going to shoot from here to here. I said, well, great. I got to get out of here by this time. I had rehearsal that night. I said, cool, we get you out of here by 4 o'clock, by 3 o'clock, whatever. Because rehearsal was at 6. And so famous last words, of course. 3 o'clock became 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock became 5 o'clock. I realized, oh man, they're nowhere close to my scene. And I had to call my director, let him know. And I hated to do it. Say, they're running late. I'm not gonna be able to make rehearsal. No, thank goodness it wasn't a show. So I really learned early on, to the best of my ability, if I'm shooting something, to do it on a time period where there's nothing else going on, or if I'm shooting something I know it's going to take place that day, because more times than not, I'm doing theater now, it could make it a point to have an understudy. So I just had the understudy go on that night.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So you're not even pressed about it.
Yeah. And so conflicts will happen. So do your best up front to prevent the conflicts.
Right.
And there's a lot of downtime on set.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to set the lights. Sometimes that could take 20 minutes to move some lights and turn the camera around. And so, crew have their jobs, and there's a lot of downtime for crew when the directors are actually filming with the actors. Right. And there's downtime for craft services after they prepared the food. Now they're sitting around, and the actors are waiting for their turn to shoot, And so, and it's always great when a director can manage the time of the set on the set for the set. Right. Whereas, like, if I'm shooting, like you said, they didn't get to your shot for hours and hours and hours, which has happened to me a few times, which really gets under my craw. So the best thing a director can do in managing the time is, if we're shooting 3 pages and I'm at the end of the 3rd page. Right. Call time is 9 a.m. Well, call me in at noon.
Right.
Don't call me at 9 o'clock and think I want to sit around and watch.
Right, no doubt.
I want to sleep. I want to study my lines before I get there.
Here's the show. Let's have it.
Oh la la. Yes,